I go by Nicole. I reside in a tiny town around 50 minutes away from Boston, and I'm 32 years old. I start my day with an espresso, check the forecast, and then stroll the little over a block to my workplace. My role as a co-founder of a healthcare biotech startup is difficult to describe, particularly to those who equate office work with mundane data entry. Perhaps they just never bothered to try to comprehend my work. From the beginning, they saw me as the unconventional younger sister, the one who preferred to keep to herself, wore little makeup, and spent much of her time either engrossed in her computer or in a meeting. My elder sister, Claire, is the one of whom they are most proud. They have always thought of her as the ideal daughter, despite the fact that she is 3 years my senior. Lovely, elegant, kind, and endearing. I was always the little guy in family photographs, even when Claire was the center of attention. Her loved ones would encircle her with compliments on Christmas and Thanksgiving. "That outfit is just beautiful on you, Claire." On the other hand, Claire, your new beau is a physician. Very remarkable. Where do I stand? Nicole, huh? I believe she's involved in biotech, was always the standard response whenever someone brought up the fact that I existed. They treated me like I was a footnote, talking down to the very bottom of the page. I used to believe that my parents would be as proud of me as they were of Claire if I simply put in the time and effort and remained in the background. But no, every single praise, every single expectation, and every single bit of attention, they belong to her forever. Where do I stand? I was always aloof, dry, hard to speak to. They had no idea that I had managed a crisis for a nearly $2 million public health project till midnight. Never once did they inquire as to how it felt to start a business from the ground up with only 3 pals from college. My response to inquiries about my family is always the same. "We haven't spoken in a while," accompanied by a subtle grin. That's all. This isn't because I'm trying to keep anything secret. I just have nothing else to say. We haven't chatted in almost 2 years. No birthday greetings, no phone calls, no messages. No one cared to fix the damaged line, so there was only quiet. When I was younger, I thought family was the one constant in life. That conviction, however, was shattered on my mother's birthday. The month of March was almost completed. An investment company based in New York had recently helped me clinch a fundraising round. I had every intention of taking 3 days off and returning home early to assist my parents with Mom's birthday preparations, as is my custom. Nothing flashy. Just as before, I wanted to provide a hand. The person who answered the phone when I tried to notify them was really my dad. "I'm intending to come back early. I offered to gather or make everything you could need. Just let you know." His voice lingered in my memory. Not angry, just strange. Afterwards, he cleared his throat after a little pause. "Please, Nicole, stay away from home this year if at all possible." My heart skipped a beat because I thought he could be concerned that I was preoccupied with my job. "It's okay, Papa. My schedule is already free. My heart longs to be present." He spoke with more conviction this time. With her, Claire is taking her new beau. He's a CFO, clear, articulate, and obviously accomplished. "What does your job entail?" I don't know how to put that into words. It would be embarrassing and encourage comparisons if you showed up. "You should thus remain." My emotions froze. Fear sent a shiver down my spine and a knot to my chest. "Are you implying that I bring shame on the family?" I said with clenched teeth as I firmly grasped the phone. "Because I'm a total liability, I shouldn't even return home." It remained with him. Indeed, he increased his wager. "Do not refer to me as your father if you are certain about coming." Following this, he ended the call, without a doubt. I have no reservations. The silence in my flat was deafening. My cup of espresso was now lukewarm. With a single statement, the universe seemed to have broken open as I peered into the empty air. No, I kept my tears bottled inside. I simply sat there. I had an epiphany that had never happened to me before. The family I had worked so hard to maintain had rejected me. I sat there in my old seat near the window. I felt a shudder creep up my spine as the pale light of dawn broke through the white drapes. The last unmistakable words of my father resounded in my ears. "Do not refer to me as your father if you are certain about coming." I lowered my gaze to my hands. My grip became unsteady, motivated by something more profound than wrath, the point of no return. I had always held the belief that being their daughter would be enough, even if I would never experience the same level of affection as Claire. I was mistaken, it seems. Returning to my desk, I got to my feet. I launched my laptop and entered my login credentials into my banking app without any difficulty. Every month for over 2 years, I'd sent my parents money to pay all of their bills, including electricity, water, internet, and cable. Nearly $600, 0 cents a month, not including the extra I'd give when Mom reported the fridge went down or Dad's vehicle needed maintenance. They never even considered my budget. They just said that Claire is having a hard time adjusting to her new work. It would mean a lot if you could provide a hand. And I did my part, unobtrusively, as if it were an obligation. The minute I began making money, I felt like I had signed an unseen contract that included duty. I accessed the transaction history and scrolled. The sum appeared. $14,720 with no pennies. It broke my heart. I didn't feel inadequate despite all that had happened. It wasn't that I regretted it. I meticulously examined every energy, water, and internet bill. Push the button. One more. Notifications showed up. We have successfully deactivated the auto payment. No alerts, no warnings, no sound at all, just like how I'd always existed in my family. I did not get any sleep that night. Reason being, I couldn't stop thinking about how things turned out, not because I was furious, mind you, about what my father said, regarding the fact that my whole family was prepared to ignore me in favor of Claire's new fiancé, despite the fact that I had never met him. I had grown up with constant comparisons, but this was the first time someone had ever openly rejected me, as if my very being were a hindrance. Mother's Day was a flash in the pan. That was not me. A card was not sent by me. Nothing was posted online by me. It wasn't out of spite. I just couldn't keep up the pretense any longer. As I sipped my peppermint tea on my balcony at precisely 5 o'clock in the afternoon, my phone beeped. Mommy was the one on the other end. After a few seconds of staring, I turned off the screen. Shortly thereafter, a message arrived. The power went out. "Nicole, what gives? Will you be able to verify this for us?" I put down my cup and read the next message from Dad. "No water. I am without internet. Please contact the service providers. Anxiety has taken over your mom." I sat quietly, staring at the line of trees in the backyard. No anger, not a single discomfort, an unsettling quiet. "Do you feel all right?" They didn't even inquire. The phone call is completely absent. All they wanted was for me to go on as usual. Remove the debris. Then followed a text from Claire. "Mom is on the verge of tears because the internet is down and visitors are arriving. Does anything happen?" Grasping my phone, I began to type. At the beginning of the month, Dad advised me if I persisted on returning home, I shouldn't call him my father. I'm only complying with his request. If this is inconvenient, maybe locate someone you're not afraid to introduce. Rest assured, I did not transmit it. It was erased. Not because I felt bad about it, but because I was aware that they would only listen to what was convenient for them. After putting the phone down, I reclined in my chair and shut my eyes. There was complete silence in my modest flat. Not a single gripe. No judgmental glances, absolutely no requests. A voicemail was left by Claire the next day. "Since yesterday night, Mom has been sobbing. Yesterday was a monumental day, you know? Everything fell apart when my boyfriend first met the family. You lack empathy." I silenced my phone after listening to the whole message. I'd been too self-centered for far too long. It was finally time. I retrieved the weekend operations report from my work inbox and reviewed it. I saw one particular subject line. "Employees from New Jersey moved to Boston. Holding tight. I took a cursory look at the names on the attached list. And then I paused after that. Prescott, Liam. That name made my heart skip a beat. My mother brought it up 3 days ago, so I was reminded of it. Claire's boyfriend Liam works for a huge firm. Squinting, I examined the file. Present employment status, head of finance, New Jersey branch. Going to the Boston headquarters, approver arrives. Warren, Nicole, associate started the company. A little chuckle escaped me. Only a reaction. I had underestimated how tiny the world was. Also, I was aware. It was only the beginning of what was to come. I sat quiet in front of my laptop, hand resting on the mouse, my chest empty, like if someone had snatched a piece of my memory I had held to for too long. About 16 grand, just a penny. Every bit of it paid by me, month after month without reminders, without delays. Thank you had eluded them entirely, under no circumstances. I navigated back over the payment list, the identical phrases repeating. My power bill came to $192.48, $136.72. My water, $248.50 for my cable and internet, month after month, as if I were the family accountant who never got paid. Under the radar, unrecognized and dismissed. 6. I recalled the last phone contact with my mom, almost a year ago, when she phoned around midnight only to say, "Nicole, that plumbing in the bathroom busted. Who can you contact? My partner and I are on vacation right now. There is no one else except you. There is no one else except you." It was the harsh reality, albeit it didn't sound harmful. I wasn't cherished as a daughter would be. When the people that mattered most to them failed to show up, I was the one they turned to. I finally got it when they advised me not to return home because my presence was a liability. Nothing I accomplished over those years was ever met with affection. I was only remembered when a payment required paying or a needed mending, but when I needed anything, no one was there. It was my mom's message that brought my phone back to life. "Nicole, I know yesterday got a bit tight, but if you could take care of the internet bill, that would be wonderful." With the visitors, Claire is attempting to maintain calm. I felt like an outsider staring at the message. No apology, no mention of the brutal rejection from my father. As usual, it's just another request. I hung up without saying anything. I strolled outside onto the porch, sitting in the wooden chair beneath the fading April light. Though Boston hadn't warmed up just yet, I felt more focused in the cool air. My mind wandered to Liam, Claire's new beau, and my new employee. The paradox. Because of him, I was left out of my mom's birthday celebration just as he was ready to report to me personally. Here we have life's best punchline, if it were a comedy. When I got back to my work, I checked my email. The topic line was striking. Liam Prescott, a new hire, will be transferred to the Boston office. I went ahead and clicked on the profile because it was perfect in every way: age, experience, education, and a well-crafted resume, just what Claire was looking for. Prominent, well-educated, and endearing in theory. I examined the picture that was supplied. Some familiarity. It hit me at that moment. Roughly 6 months ago, we had a short encounter at a conference. I never gave a hoot about Claire, so I had no idea who the guy standing next to her was. But he shook my hand and formally introduced himself as co-founder Warren. At this point, I could choose an option: let the transfer go through or turn it down. However, I was aware that no action was required of me. Life has already written the perfect screenplay. I only wanted to sit back and observe what would happen. When Claire found out her lover reported to the sister who humiliated the family. The following day, Liam arrived at the workplace. Entering my room, he had a document and seemed little anxious. His expression changed from surprise to astonishment as he stared up at me. "Nicole?" Quietly, he inquired. Softly smiling, I remained composed. "Thanks for visiting Pacific Genomics. During this quarter, I will be going over the complete budget. Dealing with you is something I'm excited about." He was paralyzed with fear. He went from red to pallid in an instant. My co-founder status as a business was unknown to my family. My true occupation had never been inquired about. It seemed as if they thought I was simply a lowly office worker. Without saying a word, I slipped the contract into his hands. Taking it, Liam crept out of the room in silence. Reclining on my seat, I relaxed. I was dissatisfied. No, I wasn't down. I simply felt as if something had finally clicked. There was no need for me to utter a word this time. By now, everyone could hear the truth. There was an abnormally dismal sky above Boston on my mom's birthday morning. Everything seemed hazy due to the heavy fog that pervaded the air, as if the planet were preparing for an impending disaster. Sitting at the window, I drank a pot of strong black coffee while staring out at the deserted yard. Nothing was on my agenda. Nobody contacted me by phone, text, or birthday card. It was my deepest desire for everything to continue unaltered, as it had been. The alarm went off on my phone at 9 in the morning. This is Mom's first message. Nicole, honey, I guess the power's out. Will you be able to verify this for us? Today is a significant day. With the screen facing down, I set the phone on the table. Very much so. Very nice. Gentle. Almost as if it had never transpired. As if my dad hadn't already warned me that I should have stayed home since I had humiliated the family. After 15 minutes, another message arrived. Now it's Dad's turn. Electrical power is still unavailable. Water's not running either. Is there an issue with the payments? Take immediate action by contacting the service provider. Short. Cold. Nothing to worry about. I didn't see anything about being left out of the celebration. A simple directive, like I was still their logistics manager. It was my turn to sigh. I had paid on time every single month for 2 years. Power, water, the web, and television. My father broke all ties the night I canceled each one since I was difficult to introduce. The home was in shambles on the day Claire was supposed to introduce her boyfriend to her family. There is no power. There is no water. I am without internet. Predicted accurately. The text started pouring in about 11 a.m. Dear Mother, hello Nicole, oh please. Embrace me, I implore you. There will soon be guests. Will you kindly lend a hand once? Dear Father, there is no power. Neither of us is good in the kitchen. Are you not here? Quickly attend to this. Claire, please, no way, Nicole. Something extraordinary is happening now. My mom is on the verge of sobbing. Internet is not available. My phone won't ring. It's getting to me. Stop being so self-centered, please. I reclined. Coldness had set into my coffee. I didn't feel justified by the messages. I was unsatisfied. All I felt was emptiness, an unmoving stillness. Subsequently, the phone rang once more. A video call from Aunt Sharon, the only member in the family who still sent Christmas greetings, even if I seldom answered. I was taken aback before responding. Illuminated just by a phone flashlight, her former kitchen emerged. Her expression was one of exhaustion, and her eyes had lost some of their color. She whispered to Nicole, "Poor Mom, she's freaking out. No one is sure what to do as they scatter around in the dimly lit home." I just stared at her without saying a word. Without blaming or justifying, she continued, after a little pause. How did it happen? Your mother's birthday is always celebrated by you. Just say something. I understand you have your reasons. Maintaining a steady tone, I inhaled deeply. If I persisted on going, my dad warned, I shouldn't refer to him as my father anymore. He claimed I brought shame on the family. Then what are your suggestions for what I ought to do? Aunt Sharon became completely still. In a flash, her expression shifted. Some noise was audible to me in the distance. My mom is probably just pouting, but she's being really outspoken. This would never be done by someone who lacked compassion. Next, a more forceful tone. Claire, Liam is on his way. The electricity provider has already been contacted. Her actions toward us now are unbelievable. I cracked a little uninspired grin. Everything was heard by Aunt Sharon. Nobody was ever defended by her. Refrained from speaking. Then, out of nowhere, The screen changed. Someone fresh stepped into the shot. "Hello, Liam. Exact same outfit, the same well-crafted language that appears on his resume." "Nicole?" he blurted out as he glanced at the screen. There was complete silence. "I thought you were Nicole Warren, right? Pacific Genomics is headed by you." Absent-mindedly, I gave a nod. Quite a lengthy waiting period. After that, Liam looked around the room at everyone. "My immediate boss is her. Also, that individual gave the go-ahead for me to go to Boston." Perplexed quiet. The news stunned Claire. There was a complete paralysis of my parents. Everyone remained silent. "Your introduction today should go swimmingly," I said quietly. Next, I disconnected the call. Without saying a word more, I put my phone down after the call. Weak rays of afternoon sunlight poked through the dense gray clouds outside the window. The eerie stillness made me question my own existence. No messages, no phone calls, and no voicemails. After they exposed the truth, rather than me, there was only me and an odd, weightless relief. No one needed to know. Everything happened just how it was supposed to, so I simply kept quiet. It had been amply verified by Liam. His boss was me, the individual who helped establish Pacific Genomics. They at the corporation thought I was merely an office assistant. As the masks dropped one by one, nobody could halt the chaos that ensued in my family's kitchen. Standing still next to an unlit birthday cake was my sister Claire, who had previously mumbled to Mom that Nicole should choose an easier-to-introduce profession. Despite her best efforts, her boyfriend ended up publicly addressing me as boss after she attempted to impress him with her flawless family and phony praises. It was as if I were seeing a rerun. The scenario was vivid in my mind. My mother, so flustered she nearly dropped the cake tray. My father clutched the table's edge, his face flushed with anger. As they attempted to comprehend what had just transpired, the relatives, who had only come for the meal and the verdict, sat in startled silence, their gazes flitting from one place to another. And Aunt Sharon still kept the call going, her look no longer interested, but something akin to reverence. Before hanging up, she barely said hi and nodded at me. Claire initially contacted me that night. Rage and despair mingled in a long and chaotic way. "You were aware the whole time, weren't you? So you just stood by as it happened at the party?" Liam has no idea what to do when he hears his mother sobbing throughout the night. "Nicole, I thought that was very nasty." I saw the notification appear on my screen, but I refrained from opening it immediately. As I sat on the sofa, steaming from my ginger tea, I was able to relax the stiffness in my throat. Neither happiness nor guilt washed over me. I pushed respond after waiting for around 10 minutes. No need for more than a couple lines. "So you think I was harsh?" Simply put, I was at home. I didn't initiate the video call. I didn't call myself his employer. Nothing was done by me. And if a single fact was enough to spoil the entire party, perhaps the foundation of that celebration was always shaky. I pressed send. I didn't anticipate a response. My phone beeped once more 30 minutes after that. It was my mom this time. The communication was brief. "I never expected you to pick this means to get back at the family." Leaning back in my chair, I shut my eyes. Get back? Was that their first impression? I vaguely recalled being excluded from a family gathering and having my responsibilities as a daughter disregarded due to my lackluster performance at work. Over the course of 2 years, I paid hundreds of invoices covertly, and nobody ever asked me about it. All this time I had spent striving to fit in, to be appreciated, and now I had finally given up. Liam emailed me at around 10 o'clock at night. "My apologies for the delay in informing you, Nicole. Your efforts and your decision to remain quiet tonight have my utmost respect. Despite you, I've never felt worse than I do right now." I took my time reading it and responding. "Liam, you don't need to apologize. Views of other people are subjective and entirely up to the individual. Rest assured, I always keep my personal life apart from my professional life. I think you see the point now. Quietness may be a powerful weapon at times. I sent the message, disabled my screen, and set the phone down on the table, face down. I would still report to work as normal tomorrow. Meetings would need to be planned, reports would need to be reviewed, and the world outside would continue to spin. There was now, however, a single distinction. The people who had previously written me off now knew my identity as of today. Furthermore, I had silenced them without a word of blame or yell. As I entered my workplace the next morning, a golden light washed over the space from the sun streaming through the glass doors. A sense of peace washed over me, as if the cosmos had granted me a moment of respite before the din of the day resumed. As usual, I sat down at my desk, turned on my computer, and checked my email. One mail was still unread in the priority inbox. Original sender. Prescott Liam, it was my click, matter at hand, apology. Nicole, I will miss you. I was up all night last night and I have no idea what to do today. This has been on my mind. What transpired in the presence of such a large audience was likely inappropriate. However, I am also experiencing an unusual lucidity, in particular, about you. Being Claire's sister is something I'm not embarrassed of. My blind spot in seeing her genuine nature was my own fault. When there is a lack of fundamental respect in a relationship, I can't remain. Claire and I are breaking up as of today. Your silence yesterday was much appreciated. Also, I like your leadership style. Defiant and just yet quiet. Hello, Liam. I reclined in my chair after reading it twice. I felt something, and it wasn't good. Claire got dumped. I see. It was as if someone outside of myself finally noticed what I'd been enduring for all these years. Things about which I was informed that I shown a lack of emotional maturity or composure. It went unanswered. Doing so was unnecessary. My phone finally went off as I was checking the finance team's summary report about 2 hours later. Claire has sent you a message. I realize you're busy, Nicole, but could you kindly speak with Liam on my behalf? Everything is being misunderstood by him. Examining the message, I remained composed and unaffected. I was slow to respond. Less than 5 minutes later, another communication came through. He reports to you. You are a powerful figure. His decision will be influenced by your words. Getting to my feet, I made my way to the window and stared out at the bustling street below. For all those years, I had hoped that Claire would send me even a single note to see how I was doing while I was in pain. When I faltered, just a word of encouragement would do. Still, not a single thing. And now that our relationship had fallen apart, she sought solace in me. No need to apologize, just get things fixed. Back at my workstation, I got down to typing. No matter what I said, Liam stayed. He left because of who you are. He may have finally caught a glimpse of it at that moment. Claire took a while to respond. But about an hour later, a fresh message came. I agree with you, but I genuinely don't want to lose him. I'll change this time, please. This one time only. I refrained from responding not out of anger, but more because I had already said everything. The sunset that night painted the roofs a rich orange hue, but the early spring wind was still cool as I departed from the workplace. Without worrying or being in a rush, I went leisurely to the parking lot. Maybe it had been years, but I felt like I was floating. I hadn't planned to get even. All I had to do was be myself, and the rest will fall into place. This was the climax that Claire had brought upon herself. After being captivated by the outward appearance of an ideal family, Liam had finally peered under the surface and saw the reality that I had endured for the better part of my life. That evening, I listened to a playlist from my early days at the startup, the type of music that would make me feel invisible. However, the melodies tonight seemed to be a subtle endorsement. I had stepped out of the shadows, not by shouting, but by being resolute. No one in my family, even Claire, had anticipated that. I no longer need affirmation. All I had to do was live my life according to my own standards and be authentic. On an unusual Sunday afternoon, when I chose not to use my laptop, the doorbell rang around 1 week after everything settled down. I almost disregarded it since I wasn't anticipating anyone. However, I felt compelled to peek through the peephole. At the gate, my parents stood. For a little while, I froze, allowing my brain to process all it was witnessing. My weary mother clutched a little bag. While his expression was less severe than our previous contact, my dad's normal sternness was still evident in his crossed arms and wide eyes. I opened the door, missed completely. My mom was the first to greet us, her voice loud and strained as if she had just landed from a long flight. "Can we come in and chat for a bit?" To allow them in, I quietly moved to the side. There was a heavy stillness that echoed down the hallway and into the living room, devoid of any embraces or kind greets. I poured some water, put down 2 glasses, and sat across from them. The place looked clean, uncluttered, and basic as my mom took stock of everything. Dad got the ball rolling. "Thinking about your mother's birthday?" Some of my words were inappropriate. Remaining silent was my choice. Slowly this time he resumed after giving me a glance. "Perhaps you've been unfairly targeted. We wanted to have a family-style conversation since Claire has been a complete wreck since the split, and your mom has been sobbing constantly." I continued to remain silent, only giving a subtle nod. I was curious about the direction they were taking this. The lengthy setup before they got down to business was nothing new to me. My parents immediately followed suit, as I had anticipated. "Yes, we do in fact have a proposal." She paused for a moment before setting the bag on the table and removing a printed worksheet. "We have deliberated on it. You finally settled down. Your job is fantastic. It would mean a lot to us if you could contribute to our cause on a monthly basis. Roughly $2,000. You're much better now, doing an excellent job. We are asking for your financial assistance in the amount of around $2,000 each month, which would be sufficient to pay for basic expenses, health insurance, and a portion of our retirement funds." Gazing up at her, I couldn't help but notice her. $2,000 per month? My dad said, as if worried I would misinterpret. "I see I'm tsinai. It's not much for someone in your position. We're family, Nicole." My posture straightened and my voice remained constant. When I asked my mom, "What about Claire?" she paused. "She's not doing well after the breakup. She's down, work's not going great, we can't pressure her." It was all too familiar, and I couldn't help but giggle softly. Not because I was bitter. In every situation, I was the one who could bear the strain, while Claire was the one who couldn't. I fixed my gaze squarely on them. If Claire agrees to contribute her part, $1,000, a contract one that clearly states, "When you both pass, all assets, including the house, will belong to me." All was quiet in the room. My dad's face turned red as he furrowed his brow. "Are you kidding me? You're putting restrictions on your own parents?" I didn't flinch. "Not conditions, principles. I already spent nearly $16,000 on this family over 2 years without anyone ever acknowledging it. If you want me to continue, then things need to be clear." As her voice began to falter, my mom looked across at my dad. He sprang out of his chair and slammed his palm on the wooden table, causing the glasses to jingle before saying, "Maybe we should talk it over. We raised her for over 20 years, and now when we ask for a little help, she demands a contract? Unbelievable." My gaze remained fixed on him while I remained sitting. "Dad, I don't owe you. If you think raising me was some kind of investment that needs a return, we can calculate it line by line. But I won't pay for it with silence anymore." With his jaw clenched, he seemed to be about to quarrel, but then halted. With a gentle push on his arm, my mother rose to her feet. "Let's go." On my way to the door, I got to my feet as well. Not even a farewell embrace. After they stepped out of the room, the only sound was a gentle swaying of the balcony doors. I sensed the end of a chapter in that silence. The last sentence this time was mine to write. My folks never got in touch with me again after that. They haven't contacted me in any way, not even to apologize for the storm of an outburst that swept through my house. It's as if their problematic kid is the source of all their disappointments. It didn't surprise me, however. That type of quiet, when individuals don't know what to say when they're embarrassed, was something I'd been used to. Even though some of my business partners had doubts about my ability to manage a biotech firm, I persisted in going about my daily life as usual, having coffee in the morning and staying late for strategic meetings. I managed to refrain from feeling guilty during it all. After realizing I could manage, I stopped second-guessing my decision to decline the role of backup wallet and default caregiver. You can't put a price on love or make someone feel obligated to love you. These concepts fail to capture the essence of true love. There is no such thing as family, if love lasts just till the bills are paid. A deal has been struck. As soon as they gave me a position, I began to free myself from the unseen bonds that bound me to it. My phone's background is now devoid of any photos of my loved ones. The birthday of Claire slipped my mind. I neglected to send a token of my appreciation over the holidays. I no longer hesitated over guilt-ridden texts. Instead of waiting for them to apologize first, I figured out how to put the period myself. One day at a staff meeting, Liam, now officially our company's head of finance, stepped in with an investment report. Focused and professional throughout, he maintained an appropriate distance at all times. To my relief, we avoided mentioning Claire at all costs. When everything is clear, it's better to keep quiet. That afternoon, when I left the workplace, it was sprinkling. I went to a cafe I frequented before settling into a window seat. Carved into the wood wall, art read, "Home is not always a place. Sometimes it's a choice." I sat there, enjoying a steaming cappuccino, thinking back on my journey. For a long time, I thought that fitting in would be possible if I would be reserved, kind, and responsible. On the other hand, if you tolerate constant disdain, eventually people will begin to see your sacrifices as duties and your quiet as consent. Not to betray my loved ones, but to ensure my own safety, I made the decision to stand up. I made the decision to establish limits, not out of any sense of selfishness, but because I came to the realization that my value cannot be measured by the sympathy or immediate demands of others. I would say, I regret that it took me so long to realize I deserved more than that. In response to the question, Nicole, do you regret not helping your parents when they needed you? Seeing you for who you really are is what it means to have a true family. Nothing more than a wallet, a substitute, or a backup plan for those who consistently disregard your needs. Some individuals may find it hard to believe my account. Society frequently views those who decline parental responsibilities as being ungrateful. However, put yourself in my position. The daughter who was rejected because she was unprepared to introduce herself. The one who spent tens of thousands of dollars in silence without ever hearing the words, "Are you okay?" In the conventional sense, I did not pick family. It was my decision. Is that so? In your opinion, was I too chilly? Alternatively, did the timing of my self-love lessons occur at the perfect moment? Feel free to share your ideas in the comments section. Your story might be the beacon of hope for someone else grappling with the conflict between responsibility and freedom. And if you've ever felt alone in your own family, trust me, you're not. No one should feel compelled to give their all to a relationship that uses the word family, yet treats its members disrespectfully. Nicole's experience is a strong reminder of this. No, it's progress, not selfishness. When you figure out how to establish limits, love yourself, and refuse to allow others take advantage of your generosity. Nicole had no desire for vengeance. To confirm her value, she opted for respectful quiet. Additionally, the hardest step toward achieving peace isn't always the easiest. Is Nicole's decision something you can get behind? After years of hurting herself, was she being too harsh, or was she just trying to protect herself? Feel free to leave a comment with your ideas. And for more profound and important tales about family, life, and discovering your voice, subscribe to the channel.